have my last meal slash last breakfast in India, and I gotta say this is really bittersweet. I'm definitely gonna miss the Indian cuisine because I think it's been by far like one of my favorite cuisines ever, and I'm having a rawa dosa, which you guys have seen way too many times on the channel, and then of course some chutney on the side, a vada, which is like a deep fried donut that's super crispy on the outside, super soft on the inside, and I'm about to go in because I haven't had breakfast and this is gonna be bomb. Just like that, we went from India to Singapore. I got in at like 12 midnight, and my first stop of course was my hostel. I stayed at the Bohemian Chic hostel and it was amazing. I had like my own little capsule with my own TV, Netflix, YouTube. I had my own Beats headphones, not that I even used them, but it was just like comforting to know that I had the option to use them if I really wanted to. And it was about like 20 Singapore dollars a night. I met some really cool people there. I actually met almost every single person that I spent my time with in Singapore there. The first night that I got in super late, there was another guy checking in, and the next day I saw him and we ended up hanging out that first entire day. He joined me for breakfast at this restaurant that you guys are going to be seeing here. It's called the Locat. So during my time there, I spent a lot of time with people that I had never met before, so that kind of led me to only getting footage of my time in Singapore, not really much footage of me talking though. It's just me kind of like doing things. So I wanted to do a little bit of a voiceover on some of these clips so you guys have an idea of what was going on. Good morning YouTube, I am currently in Singapore. I made it in this morning at like 1 a.m. so I'm running on about 5 hours of sleep, which isn't too bad because before I have done the full 24 hours and it's really loud in here. How about I just show you guys the food and then I'll catch with you later. And the main reason why I went here is because they are known for serving some really amazing kaya toast, which is a really traditional thing here in Singapore. They serve soft-boiled eggs with some rectangular thick toast, and the toast is spread with the kaya butter, which is made with like coconut milk and sugar and eggs. So if you're ever in Singapore, I definitely recommend trying that out. So this all happened in between December 6th to December 9th. So as you guys can guess, everything was decorated in the Christmas spirit, and I loved it so much because it just makes everything so much more beautiful and colorful. And Singapore itself, it's a really beautiful place. Like there is so much beautiful architecture, but at the same time they really preserve the trees and nature, so it's really nice to get a mix of both because it just shows that we can have that kind of balance in our life where we can be modern but still stick to our roots and stay grounded. So I really appreciated that about Singapore. Our first stop that day was Orchard Street, which is like one of the biggest main shopping streets in Singapore, and it wasn't because I wanted to be there. I actually had to be there because I broke my computer in India, and as you guys know, I do work for my computer, so the first stop unfortunately had to be the Apple store in Singapore. So that was that, but at least I got to see the famous Orchard Street, which is definitely something to see even if you don't like shopping, just because there is so much life, so many shops, and it's decorated so beautifully during Christmas. And following that, we went ahead and started to soak ourselves into some history. So we headed to Fort Canning Park, which is a beautiful park with lots of trees. We have an archaeological museum. They have a really cool Fort Canning Museum, which is where the British Army actually had a fort back when they were battling against the Japanese. And we did end up going into the fort. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to videotape what we were seeing, but it's really cool because they do guided tours. So it's like, I think 20 Singapore dollars, and then you get like a complete guided tour of the entire fort, and you go like underneath, and they tell you about every single detail of how the war happened and what they were thinking at the time. And it's just really cool to kind of experience that and feel like you're a part of that time in history. So a big part of me definitely enjoys learning about war history. I don't know what it is because I'm such a peaceful person internally, but I think it's just interesting to see, I guess, how they had to battle back then and what they were thinking and how they were doing everything strategically. So definitely interested me a lot. So I said they had an archaeological museum. It wasn't a museum, it was this exhibit right here. And they just kind of show everything that they've dug up in this area. There's my friend from the hostel. And yeah, this is just the stuff that I guess they found in this area over the past years. because one can never get enough Indian food. I can't believe that after 2-3 months, I think I was in India, I went to Singapore and had some Indian food. I can't help myself, guys. I love Indian cuisine, but they do have a little India in Singapore, so obviously I had to go and try some authentic Indian food in Singapore. First appearance on YouTube. Let me know how you like it. It's so good.
It's like potatoes. It's like eating a french fry.
Yeah. And my friend Joseph had never tried it before, so I figured I'd be the person to introduce him to amazing Indian cuisine. We ended up getting some vada, which is a little like deep fried savory donuts, and then I also got chapati and then some chana masala, which is like a chickpea soupy thing. I don't know. I'm like so bad at explaining Indian cuisine. It's really hard to explain, but just know that it's really, really good. I don't know about you guys, but the rain never stops me. And then we headed back to the hostel. This right here is the area where I was staying. It's Chinatown, and we just pretty much ended up heading back. I think I had some work to do. I ended up meeting some other guys that night just because I was like sitting in the little area where people just kind of hang out, and once you're sitting out there, you just get talking to people and then you just make new friends. I don't know if that happens to you guys, but it always happens to me. So all of those guys were big foodies, so obviously I had to join them in on whatever adventures they had. So we ended up going to these little food stalls that they have. I forget what they're called in Singapore, but they're really well known for them because they have like super cheap food and it's really, really, really good. So I ended up going with them to try some authentic Singapore eats. Hostel crew.
Hello.
And food. So our street food dishes of choice were the papaya, which is what you guys see in the back, and it's kind of like a spring roll just with mixed vegetables inside. And then in front of you, you have the rojak, which means eclectic mix in Malay, and it definitely lives up to that because it's a salad with mixed vegetables, fruits, dough fritters, and it's garnished with the black sauce that you see on top. And some peanuts and some ginger, I believe, as well. So you can only imagine how tasty that was. And I just have to point out that not the one guy that you see directly across from the food, but the one to the right, he just graduated from culinary school in New York. So he definitely knew where he was guiding us and had some really awesome recommendations with the food that we were eating. And another place I would highly recommend to check out in Singapore is their botanical gardens because they are stunning. Such a beautiful place. I felt so elevated. The energy was just incredible, and it was definitely a nice way to escape the fast-paced city life of Singapore. And at these gardens, I actually got to run into one of my ex-clients, Chelsea. You guys will see her in the coming clips here. But I worked with her for like over a year, and she saw that I was in Singapore. We started DMing back and forth, and I told her that I was at the gardens, and next thing I know, bam, she came to say hi, and then we ended up hanging out the rest of the day. And it was just such a beautiful time to get to spend with her and like get to know her even better since I had worked with her for so long. Another cool garden in Singapore is Gardens by the Bay, a place that I really wanted to go to, so I'm really happy that I was able to make it, especially during Christmas because they just had, you know, like I said, everything was decorated with the Christmas spirit, and I just love, love, love Christmas time. Everyone is so happy, so jolly, and so full of joy. So I got to go to Gardens by the Bay. Definitely recommend that. You guys will see how beautiful it is in the clips coming up. It's just filled with lights. They had a little, I guess like a Christmas fair outside of the gardens. So that was really cool as well because you get to see like some artisan stuff. They had like just cool little games, photo booths, and fun things like that. So that was a really cool thing to experience while in Singapore. And during my last few hours on my last day in Singapore, I actually ended up having a little get together with some of the girls that reached out to me through social media from Singapore, because there was a few of them. So I was like, you know, might as well just get together and have some breakfast together. So we did that and it was so nice. I'm so happy that we did that. We ended up going to Food Rebel, which is a restaurant near Chinatown, I believe it was. And they had such amazing healthy food. Like for those that were dieting, they had macros. For people that are just health conscious, they had a lot of amazing dishes with a lot of flavor, but still very, very healthy. So everything was, you know, gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, organic. So everything just felt like so fresh and so good. And it was just such a nice meal with such amazing people.
What is going on, YouTube fam? We got Insta fam here. This is how I'm wrapping up my last day in Singapore. We got some goodies, some sesame bread, some kaya butter somewhere in there, which is, hopefully this lasts, but I don't know if it will. And we're about to get some food.
And even though I was staying in Chinatown, I didn't actually make time to explore Chinatown until the last day when I left, because it's just, I guess that's what we do, you know, we don't appreciate what we have in front of us. So I did make time to go ahead and check it out though, and it was super cool. They had a really cool temple, which you guys will see coming up, and then I got some souvenirs for my dad and my family, and then that wrapped up my Singapore trip. So all in all, my time in Singapore was amazing. The people were so friendly, it was so clean, they had so much cultural diversity, so I feel like I got to experience a lot of different cultures from the neighboring countries. They had a lot of nature as well. They had beautiful modern development, which I can definitely appreciate as well, and a lot of different cultural influences. You also get a lot of different cuisines, so it was really nice to let my taste buds experience some new taste and flavors. So I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I definitely had an amazing time in Singapore, and like I said, I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to check it out. It is a bit more on the expensive side, but you know, it's worth it for 2 to 3 days. So I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a beautiful, amazing day. Love you guys.